Short story. Hey guys, you know the drill. I do not own Boku no Hero Academia, its characters, or its locations. They are all owned by Kohei Horikoshi, Jump Comics, and Funimation. Why can't I see Mama? Eri asked in concern. She, Midoriya, and Hagakure were standing outside Uraraka's door, which was closed. Because she's not feeling well and doesn't want anyone to get sick, sweetie, Hagakure said. Almost on cue, a loud sneeze echoed from the opposite side of the door. You Uraraka's sick? Midoriya asked in a worried tone. Do we call recovery girl? What if it's the flu and it's serious? Maybe I could contact Iida. No, that wouldn't work since he's off having coffee with Hatsume. Maybe there's some sort of medicine we can use to help her illness go down. Let me think. We have flu medicine, painkillers, cough medicine. Papa, Eri exclaimed. You're doing the thing again. Sorry, Midoriya said, scratching the back of his head, force of habit. I wouldn't worry too much, Midoriya, Hagakure said. She said it's just a slight fever. It should be gone within a few days. Well, that's a relief, Midoriya said with a sigh. With that, he and Hagakure left Uraraka's door. Eri, however, had stayed behind and continued to stand outside the door. After a few minutes, Momo came by and stopped when she noticed Eri. Eri, she asked in concern. Is everything okay? Oh, everything's fine, Auntie Momo. It's just. Eri paused and her features saddened. I just wish there was a way for me to help Mama get better. Momo placed a finger underneath her lower lip and she thought about Eri's predicament. Suddenly, an idea popped into her head and a smile grew on her face. Why not make her a get well card? She said. A get well card? Eri asked in confusion. Chuckling a little at Eri's innocence, Momo explained. It's a card you give to someone wishing them the best when they're either sick or recovering from something. You can either buy them at the store or you can make one yourself. She then leaned in and whispered, Personally, I find that homemade cards are the best to give. It shows that you care deeply about that person and that you wish them well. Oh, Eri said in understanding. Just then, an idea popped into her head and she grinned. Thanks, Auntie Momo, Eri said before she ran off downstairs. Momo only smiled back and waved back. Eri ran to Midoriya's room, where she grabbed construction paper, markers, colored pencils, and other craft tools. She then carefully carried them down to the main floor into the living room, where she set the supplies down on the coffee table. Taking up a sheet of cardboard paper in one hand and a marker in the other, Eri began to work. What are you working on, Eri? Midoriya's voice called out from the kitchen. I'm making Mama a get well card, Eri said, glancing over at Midoriya. It was then that she noticed him standing over the kitchen stove looking into a pot and stirring something with a wooden spoon. What are you doing, Papa? She asked. Well, Midoriya said with a small smile, I'm making some zosui. It's got chicken, mushrooms, some vegetables, noodles, and a few spices. It's supposed to help you when you're sick. Really? Eri stopped what she was doing and walked over to the kitchen. She then brought up a stepping stool to stand on until her head stood over the countertop. Yep, Midoriya said, I'm actually using a recipe that my mom used to make whenever I was sick. Grandma would make that for you. Eri pointed at the black pot. Midoriya stiffened for a second. He had almost forgotten that Eri kept calling his mother, Grandma. Promoted stories. You'll also like Future Hero, Izumina 30.9K 423 characters. Aren't mine Izumina is the best ship ever. Takes place after the school trip. Also, 1A is already living in dorms. Disclaimer. The story is not same as in M. I am here for you Izuocha 251K 4.7K characters. And settings all owned and created by Kohei Horikoshi. This is a non-profit fanfiction edited by Nimish Wenkade and Kaori 112 Arc 1. Ochako is worried Abu. The Merman from Ashore Mermaid O Bakudaku 90.1K 2.6K Izuku. Midoriya has been raised by sea creatures and only remembers bits and pieces to where he's from. Izuku decides to go on a journey to find the answers to where he are. My chat fic Academia 78K 1.1K watts. Up my crackhead so title says it all there's going to be ships in here so. Buckle up bitches my ships. Todo Momo, Kiri Baku, Kami Jiro, Toko Suyu, Iida Mei. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned 222K 3.3K Izuku. Midoriya and Katsuki Bakugo have always had a rocky relationship between the two. But what happens when Izuku's girlfriend Ochako Uraraka finds out something more? With all my heart 79.5K 1.5K Izuku ends up going to the UA entrance exam, even though Bakugo threatens him not to, and tries to become the hero he is meant to be. Along the way, he meets a certain P. Small Bunny, Big Bounce 337K 8.2K Izuku. Midoriya is the son of single mother and very successful Inko Midoriya. With Inko being a bunny model, Izuku grew up with that girly twist. At the age of 14 Inko Why yes, Midoriya stuttered. I always remember how good it tasted and it always filled me up and made me feel warm inside. He paused and he used the wooden spoon to scoop up a sliver of broth. He then sipped and tasted it with a quizzical look on his face. Maybe it needs a few more minutes. Here, he added and he scooped another sliver before placing a hand under the spoon, blowing it, and lowering it to Aries level. What do you think? Eri leaned forward and pressed her lips to the tip of the spoon before she sipped it. It was warm and tasted really good. Grandma was without a doubt a great cook. Another few minutes, Papa, she said, to which Midoriya nodded in agreement. While Midoriya finished the soup, Eri returned to making her get well card. She used a variety of markers to write out a message and even used her safety scissors to cut a sheet of pink construction paper. She then folded the main paper neatly to complete the project. Ready to go see Mama? Midoriya asked. He then picked up a tray with the bowl of soup on it. Wait. A voice cried out before Eri could respond. The two of them turned to see Mina standing before them holding up two sheets of fabric with strings attached to each end. Gotta put these on before you see her. Oh, right, Midoriya said. He then set the tray on the counter and placed the piece over his mouth and nose and the strings over his ears. He then knelt down and placed the other fabric over Eri's mouth and nose as well. What is this? Eri asked, noticing that her voice was muffled through the fabric. It's a surgical mask, Mina said. It helps prevent the spread of diseases so that you don't get sick. Eri nodded in understanding. Now you can go visit Mama, Mina added with enthusiasm. Once Midoriya lifted the tray again, the three of them made their way up the stairs until they reached Uraraka's door on the fourth floor. Mina then knocked and called out, "Uraraka, are you still in there?" A groan came from inside, followed by a weak, "Yeah." Taking it as an invitation to enter, Mina opened the door. There were tissues that littered the floor and some that filled the clear trash can. The covers on the bed were ruffled and there was a noticeable bundle under it that stretched to both ends of the bed. The bundle underneath tossed the cover over to reveal a pale-faced Uraraka with a red nose and droopy eyes. "Afternoon, sunshine," Mina said. Uraraka replied with another groan. "I've brought Midoriya and Eri with me." Uraraka's red eyes then turned to face Midoriya and Eri. Her gaze softened and her mouth curved into a small smile. "Hey, you two," she said weakly and in a croaky voice. "Hey, Uraraka," Midoriya said. He made his way over with the tray in his hands. "I made you some soup." He handed her the tray. When the tray was placed on Uraraka's lap, the steam that emitted from the bowl reached her nostrils. She inhaled deeply and smiled a little. "Thanks, Deku," she said. "It smells really good." Midoriya could only blush at her comment. "Here, Mama," Eri said. She handed Uraraka the folded piece of paper. "I made this for you." Uraraka took the card and noticed a little cutout heart glued onto the front of it, giving a small smile. She then opened the card to see a message with words written in different colors. It read, "I hope you get well soon, Mama. Love you, Eri." "Thank you, Eri," Uraraka said. She looked down at the little girl with a smile. "This is so sweet of you." Eri smiled upon hearing her comment. "Maybe we ought to leave her be," Mina suggested. Eri and Midoriya nodded. They figured Uraraka would like to enjoy her soup in peace and not run the risk of making them sick as well. With that, Eri, Midoriya, and Mina left the room. When the three of them reached the main floor, Eri began picking up her craft materials to put them away. At that moment, the front doors opened to reveal a certain boy who wore glasses. "Welcome back, Uncle Tenya," Eri said. "Hi, Iida," Midoriya said upon seeing his best friend. "How was coffee with Hatsume?" "Very well, thank you for asking," Iida said. He then took off his coat and placed it on the coat rack. "We discussed what we wanted to do when we graduated UA. I told her about my family's history as heroes. She told me about some of her inventions, and the rest was just small talk." "So I take it the date was a success, huh?" Mina asked with a smirk, which caused Iida's cheeks to turn bright pink. "It was not a date," Iida exclaimed and gestured wildly. "It was just a casual meeting of two students, one of whom just wanted to show appreciation for what the other had done for him." "Yeah," Mina's eyes narrowed and her smirk grew. "That kiss imprint on your left cheek says otherwise." Upon hearing Mina's words, Iida's cheeks reddened and he ran to try and find a mirror. Midoriya and Eri, meanwhile, both had to cover a hand over their mouths to stifle their laughter while Mina looked on with an amused smile. Bonus content. Eri rose up from her bed in frustration. She couldn't seem to fall asleep. It had been a week since her mama had recovered from her illness and everything seemed to be back to normal. She was still doing well in school, she still hung out with Satsuki, and the other students still treated her like family. It was while she was thinking about the students that her mind shifted to her mama and papa. She never thought about it in the past, but lately she had been noticing some weird things about how they reacted to each other. When one of them would make an encouraging or kind comment, the other would blush and become nervous. Whenever Auntie Mina would make some comment to them with a smirk on her face, they would both blush bright red. And whenever physical contact was made between the two of them, one of them would look like they would pass out. There was something going on between her parents, but Eri couldn't quite put her finger on it. It was then that Eri remembered hearing a word called love from a conversation she overheard between Auntie Jiro and Auntie Momo, which had something to do with Uncle Shoto. When Auntie Momo talked about him, her face turned red and she started to sweat a bit. Maybe love is liking someone deeply, but you're afraid to show it. Eri thought, maybe that's what is going on with Mama and Papa. She then put on a face of determination and stood up on her bed. All right then, she thought, even if it takes me forever to get it done, Mama and Papa will show their love for each other. And I know just the person to ask for help, she concluded, and a smirk grew on her face. And with that, another chapter for Family Matters is complete. Well, it certainly has been interesting these past few weeks. I recently parted ways with my beta reader Nirvana. She said she had college work and needed to focus on figuring out her career after she graduated. I told her I understood and we parted ways on good terms. Kudos to Road 1042, my new beta reader, for reviewing this chapter and giving me suggestions to make it sound better to you guys. Next time on Family Matters, the chapter every single one of you Izuocha shippers have been waiting for. I know you've all struggled for well over a year, but trust me, it will be worth it. I promise. So here is the deal. I plan on having a slow dance moment between them in the chapter. I just need a song to go with. So if you have any suggestions, put a link to said song in the comments for this paragraph and I will see which one will work best. I will mention you in the author notes next chapter. Until then, this is Anime Fan 299,110 encouraging you all to go beyond. Plus, Ultra, where stories live. Discover now.